Alright guys, stay tuned, I'll have more updates. Alright guys, tonight we're about to install this transmission. We've got everything all set to go. We're just test fitting everything on the trans jack. I managed to get these little holder brackets in far enough to hug the transmission a little better, and then we're going to go with a mini ratchet strap. And then I've already bolted on half of my MGW shifter. We'll have to do the rest at some point in time. I'm not exactly sure when. And then I tried to bench bleed the modified slave cylinder, so there is some fluid in there, and hopefully half the air is out of there and we won't struggle too much on bleeding the rest of it. So the sucky part right now is that the car isn't high enough as I'd like to where I could slide this whole thing under the car, so we're gonna have to take the transmission off the jack and then redo this under the car in the tunnel section, so we'll have enough room to do all that. So we're gonna get this off the trans jack and get everything pushed under the car, and then get it set back up on there and hopefully get it put into place here pretty soon. Alright guys, we got it in. I think that took us, what, about an hour? Hour, 20 minutes, I think, just because we took our time and we didn't want to rush through it. At one point in time, we didn't even know we were into the splines, but we were. So that was kind of funny. The transmission was in neutral, and we kept spinning this here to try to get, help it get into the splines lined up, but we kept spinning it, and we're like, okay, it's spinning. Well, the transmission was in neutral, and then we had like a half an inch left to go here, and we're like, well, how's this possible? It's got to be in. And then we ended up putting it in gear, and it was engaged. The splines were like 3/4 of the way in, but there it is. We just took our time and eased it in there. We still got this ratcheted up. We're gonna work on the MGW shifter now, kind of get that in place, and then get this bolted on, and then we'll be done for the night. But quick little update, really wasn't that bad, just if you take your time. Alright guys, we got the MGW shifter installed. It wasn't too bad, just got to get all these bolts nice and tight, and then the ones that are living up there, you reuse the factory little pin support there, and we just kind of loosely left these transmission mount bolts because I want to put the motor mount bolt, or the motor mounts in, kind of get that in place before I finally do a final tighten on this, just to make sure nothing's in a bind. Still need to get the drive shaft in, and we're about to pull this trans jack out, and that happened. So we're gonna have to cut them off of there, but it was worth it. We have to sacrifice the ratchet strap. It did secure it nice and good for us up there. It didn't roll or nothing like that. I do have to add a little bit of transmission fluid, but other than that, it went pretty smooth, and we are done for the night. So thanks for watching, and stay tuned. I am going to video the process of putting my American Racing header LongTube stainless headers in. So that'll be next up, coming up soon. Alright guys, take it easy. Alright guys, it's the next day, and I actually went to Harbor Freight and bought a small handheld vacuum pump to try to bleed the hydraulic fluid reservoir, but I didn't have to because I pumped this thing like crazy, and it got to a normal pedal feel, so I don't have to use that pump I used. I'm sorry, the pump I bought. So I'm gonna go return those. I didn't open them up, but it feels good. I just pumped it a whole bunch of times. Pedal feels pretty good. I kind of honestly don't remember what the stock pedal felt like, but this is not stiff at all. It feels pretty good. So that's taken care of. I added the fluid in there, so got it back to the max line. Now I'm playing with this MGW shifter, and they say to adjust this right here, but the guy on the video says 9 out of 10 times it's already adjusted from factory. So I just came in here and I I slipped this in here. I didn't put the bolts in. And then I just kind of lightly screwed the handle on, the knob. And I'm checking to see if it goes into first gear. So I'm just going to push the clutch in just because. And then there's first. So they're saying if it's not adjusted correctly, I guess it won't go into first or it won't go into reverse. I'm not sure, but I'm not going to touch it because I feel comfortable with it. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Neutral. And then I noticed that to get it into reverse, but you have to get that little pin down into the slot. The easiest way to do that is to push it all the way over to the left, down and over, and reverse. So yeah, we got a little update on this. This was kind of a pain in the butt to do, to get this black rubber thing on there. So you got to cover it with a lot of I use Dawn dish soap, and you got to like stick your fingers in here all the way down in there, and then get it around. It's a round hole about that big, and you got to push it around a big rectangle like that, and there's a groove, so you got to get it in the groove. That was challenging. I mean, you got to really use your fingers to dig down in there and really push. I spent a good 30 minutes doing that. And then you just get the lip around there. So I'm going to move on to the next step. I'm watching the MGW YouTube video and just following what that guy is saying to do. So that's what I'm doing on this. But I just wanted to note this was a little bit of a pain in the butt to do. Okay, now I'm putting the shifter on. It just comes supplied with these little screws here. It's got Loctite on it. Pretty straightforward on this. There's two on each side. Alright, I got, like I said earlier, the boot on. I got the shifter on. I got these nice and tight. And then they want you to bring this boot up a little bit like that, and then put the supplied zip tie on there. That way this doesn't fall. So it's coming right along. Let's see what's next. Okay, I put their sound deadening material that they provided. MGW supplies this, and it just goes over the, there's little slots and it goes over the studs, so they want you to put that down. And then they want you to put the factory one back on. So we'll see which way this goes. It goes that way. Yep. Get it over the studs. Kind of seems like it's stacked up a lot, but that's what they said to do. Okay. Okay, getting the center console in. Get it all snapped in. Don't forget to plug in, there's a plug under here in the middle. And tighten your screws. And then put your little side cover on. Okay, it's starting to shape up. Got the center console back in. Got the side pieces back on. And next up is this thing here. Yikes. Gotta take half this thing apart and cut some of it off. Kind of scary, but let's give it a try. Alright, that was pretty easy. So they wanted you to take a hacksaw. I just used this little guy right here, and they wanted you to cut that piece off. So it's sat right here like that. And I think now if we push this through here, should be able to get this off of here. There we go. We'll see what's next. Okay, it looks like they provide this little grommet. So we need to get this under there. Alright, got the little grommet in. That looks pretty good. It's not bad. Okay, so when I ordered this, I ordered it to keep the factory knob, because I kind of like factory looking stuff. So they supplied this here. It's got like this groove, and I got a tool. Came with the tool to tighten this, and I'm assuming I just need to crank this all the way down. I don't know how far, but kind of seems like it has stopped there. Hopefully this should go on, I think. Yeah. So it is a little shorter than, but that ain't bad. It is a little shorter than factory. Ain't too. Sometimes I see these things, they just look so low, but it doesn't feel too bad, actually. Feels comfortable. I'm gonna get this all snugged up. But yeah, that was pretty simple. Still need to get that little plate in, and then the little coin tray. Well, at least the interior is done. Okay, this was that little tool I was telling you about. Just goes in there like that. I tightened it, so we'll see what I need to do for the shift knob to be nice and straight. Might have to play around with this for a second. Okay, that's it. It's done. I had to play around with that collar a little bit, but it's nice and tight. It's definitely a little lower than, shorter than stock, but kind of looks shorter, but doesn't feel shorter, if that makes sense. So there's first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. Reverse again is kind of tricky. See if I could do this. Go over, down, up. Reverse. And you just kind of pull back. It'll come right out of there. Well, one thing is crossed off the list. Interior's back together. I think after this tomorrow I'm gonna either install the drive shaft and get those bolts torqued to spec, or I might start fishing up a long tube header. See how that goes. But yeah, I was a couple big things I wanted to knock out, and I got it knocked out. I got the clutch installed, the transmission back in, I got the short throw shifter done, I got the interior finished. So I'm making progress on this. The next little hurdle is installing those headers. So once that's done and all bolted together, then I'll move on to installing the supercharger stuff, which I don't have any idea what I'm going to get myself into there. There's a lot of bags and bags of parts. Like all this stuff here, there's just a ton of bags, wires and hoses and more wires and more hoses, and it's over here, little pieces. And this bag here is just a ton of hoses, and like, what is all this stuff? And then this is the intake air temperature kit, which I need to figure out where this goes. You got the new injectors, I got a new set of spark plugs, I got the booster pumps over here, I've got the brackets and pulleys. These are dual fans for the little intercooler setup, and here's airbox parts, superchargers in this box. I got new motor mounts here. I've got a new thermostat here. This is a 170. A rubber hose there. Old parts, old intake, old shifter stuff. Fender liners there. Exhaust stuff down there. Old exhaust stuff. Let's see what I have left over here. Old parts, old parts. New header gaskets here. Old shifter, so I'm going to start boxing this stuff up. And then over in this box here, I've got all the header stuff. O2 extensions. There's the headers are down in there. So yeah, making a little progress here. Everything up here is pretty much how I left it. Still don't know if there's a little bit of error in the hydraulic fluid reservoir here, but kind of felt like the pedal got a little mushy on me. And I pumped it back up again, and it feels good again. Yeah. But I guess I'll just keep pumping it every now and then. So that's my progress for tonight. So hopefully I can get back out here tomorrow or Friday, do another little bit of work, a little at a time. Alrighty, we'll talk to you guys later. Alright, tonight we're going to start with the header install. I've got American Racing headers, Catless, in stainless steel. And I'm going to start with the driver's side first. See how that goes. And then I got these Cometic header gaskets, multi-layer gaskets. They sell these at American Muscle. So I chose those over the ones they supplied. Look like this. And I don't know, guys, that just kind of looks kind of crappy. And the factory header gasket looks like this over here. This is what a factory one looks like. It is also a multi-layer metal header gasket, so I went ahead and bought the same brand new set right here. Let's see how this goes. Alright, this is my setup. I had to rearrange some of the studs. I've chosen to reuse the factory studs over the bolts supplied by ARH. So I had to move some studs around here to match the headers. This stud is out for now. I'm just going to leave it out. I'll screw it in a little bit later. But I'm about to pick this header up and see how it fits. Hopefully it fits in there. Alright, so I got the driver's side in. It wasn't too bad, to be honest with you. I did quickly find out that you cannot use the factory studs. So it's kind of impossible to get it up there with the factory studs. So I just used the supplied bolts that came with American Racing Header stuff. There it is. It's in. And then I've got the new Whipple motor mount just kind of loosely in there. I need to put the bolts on there. There you can see a little better now. I got the engine up and down, so I'm not worried about bolting this on yet. I'll get to that eventually. But this side went on pretty easy now. Passenger side is another story. The biggest problem is that AC compressor, it's in the way. I don't know how I'm going to get to those bolts over there. I guess I'll find out soon. I'm done for the night. I'll probably work on this maybe next week, early next week or something. Try to come out here one night and try to get this passenger side header on. But that side, we're good. Alright, we'll report back soon. Alright, it's a good day when the engine hoist is removed from the car and the engine is sitting back down on the engine mounts. Progress. I finished up in the previous video there that this is a different night. The driver's side header was installed, and tonight with I don't know, it took me about, I don't know, hour and a half just putting the passenger side on and putting some of the transcooler line bracket and putting the engine mounts, the motor mounts on, and tightening up the nuts here, getting the engine hoist out of the way. The passenger side really wasn't as bad as everyone made it out to be. Really, it wasn't that bad. I got to the bolts all fairly easy. I'll go under here and take a look at it. I do still have a few things to do under here left. I gotta connect the steering shaft here. This is what the Whipple supplied motor mounts look like. Got all those nice and tight. And this is what the passenger side looks like here. See, these are American Racing Headers. This side really wasn't that bad to get to. And that's what the Whipple engine mount looks like. You got to put these spacers on here. There's a spacer here and a spacer on the other side. On this stud goes a ground, and on this one is the bracket that holds the trans-cooler lines. So I still need to get the starter in, so I'll probably do that next. I gotta tighten these little bolts here like this. There's another one there. So I gotta get the starter on, and I have to do this driving the steering wheel shaft, and then I need to put the drive shaft back in, and then I need to connect all my pipes and do the O2 sensor stuff. So hopefully by Friday I'll have all that done. But I made some progress and I'm happy with it. I got brand new bolts for the drive shaft. I bought them from Ford. They recommend you replace them, so I'm going to replace them. And I still need to tighten my transmission mount, but they're screwed in about 3/4 of the way in, so gotta get those. But overall, I made a bunch of progress and I'm happy with that. I was worried about the bolt way up there by the AC compressor. It was no big deal. I got to it from the top. Alright guys, that's your LongTube header update. now once I get the last few things buttoned up underneath the car, I can start working on the supercharger. So I'm happy about that. I'm gonna need at least a couple months to do the supercharger stuff. I'm gonna get the car, probably take this one off and just have it a little bit off the ground. That way I could reach up in here better while I'm working. It's 1 a.m. and I'm going to bed. Till the next video, guys, I will keep you guys posted on the actual supercharger install and updates. Okay, tonight I'm trying to button up a bunch of stuff underneath the car. One of the things I had to do was install the starter. The starter takes 3 bolts, go around here, and from factory they utilize the motor mount, and there's this bracket that's attached to the starter. Well, the factory had a bolt going straight through here, but on this, as you can see, there's a gap. I feel like there was like a long stud that went through there from factory, and there was like a thick web right there that made up for that empty spot. So see the gold head of the bolt? That would be gone. They should have put a spacer there, and then I could have just reused the factory long stud that went through there. But I guess they're not wanting you to use that hole. I thought that was not the greatest design there. I would have put a spacer like they gave us spacers there. So I wish they would have done the same. I needed a 3rd spacer for that. And then I could have used a bolt, and then I could have secured the back of the starter. But I guess we're not using it. I'm just relying on the 3 bolts. We got the wires on. Now I think I'm gonna move on to trying to install this drive shaft here. Gonna do that next. Alright, I got the drive shaft in. So you're supposed to replace these bolts right here. Here's the part number. You can get this from Ford. So that's the part number for those 4 bolts there. You're supposed to replace these, but I didn't. I put some red Loctite on those, and I just tightened them really tight with a wrench by hand, with the socket wrench. And then back here, you've got these bolts there, which you're supposed to replace, and this is the part number right here. So you need 3 of these. They come with this little tie bracket, so there's 3 of those. 3 of these assemblies. The instructions here say on the front of the drive shaft, the 4-bolt flange, which would be at your transmission, it needs to be at 80 pound-feet. And then the rear drive shaft to the pinion flange bolts is 41 pound-feet. So we're going to get ready to torque this down. And then after that, I think I'm going to try and attach this exhaust and see how that shakes out. Hopefully it matches up good, and I still need to get these tight too. So I'll probably do that, make this tight, and then start connecting this exhaust. Okay, I forgot to mention that these are 12mm head, and you need a 12 point. It's a 12mm 12 point. Now I just did these 3, 1, 2, and 3 at 60, and now I'm going to rotate the drive shaft. And to rotate the drive shaft, I got transmission in neutral, and I've got a floor jack down here, and I'm just barely picking up the car about, I don't know, 1/2 of an inch off the race ramp, and I'm able to spin this thing. I'm going to do 60 on that one there, and then I'm going to go back and do my actual final 80. Okay, I remembered that I spilled a bunch of transmission fluid when I took the transmission out, so I am now refilling what I lost. I got about a quart here, and this is what Ford calls for our transmission fluid, right from the Ford dealership. It says it takes Mercon LV. So I got a quart, and I got this little pump from O'Reilly. They sell this for 15 bucks. You could use it on a gallon or a quart. And I'm just gonna pump it in. And I also reconnected my steering shaft, and that's how that looks. And believe it or not, between the header tube and the steering shaft is a very, very thin screwdriver blade could fit through here. Looking for my screwdriver. There it is. Let me show you this. Look at this. That's all that goes through there. Pretty tight. And I took the little plug out of the transmission fill hole. It's just right up there. Right there. So we'll fill it till it spills out, and then I'll put the cap back on. Little update from tonight. I installed the starter. A little recap here. Got the starter installed. Steering shaft installed. Then I got the drive shaft installed, so that's on. Everything's torqued. I started working on this exhaust. I need to go rent an O2 socket so I could get the rest of them off. I just kind of used a big adjustable wrench on this one. I'm gonna just go rent the tool instead of stripping some of this. I don't want to damage it. But anyway, I need to transfer all that stuff over, and I got this stuff on here, and I have the O2 sensors facing up on that. Now, I struggled with getting my Lethal Performance resonator delete in place, and I think it's because I had this tightened once already, so this is kind of not wanting to go on, and struggled with that. I fought it for about an hour, and I gave up. So I might get a tailpipe expander and try to open that up a little bit so it'll want to fit on there a little better, because I don't know what else to do with that. So I struggled with that, but it's coming along, I guess. Wish I would have finished the exhaust tonight, and so I could have moved on, but we'll try it again another day here very soon. Alright guys, tonight's update is I'm officially done with the bottom of the car. I've got the exhaust on. I had to rent a pipe expander for down there on the resonator delete. I guess since it was clamped once, it kind of was too tight, so I had to just open it up. It worked perfect. I got all this done. I got the transmission fluid topped off. I'm waiting for O2 spacers from Big Daddy Garage. So I'll get this stuff plugged in once I get those spacers in the back. Get all that stuff routed nicely. Everything worked out really good. Hopefully there's no leaks. And now I'm moving on to some Whipple stuff. I trim that little stud that's off the back there. And then reading through these instructions and going through the parts, and man, this is confusing as hell. So I'm lost. I'm not gonna lie. Try to find the bag of parts. It says to remove these two heater tubes, so that'd be these two right here. Pretty straightforward, right? Remove that, remove this. Okay, that's fine. And then I'm supposed to replace it with some other ones. I found this one, okay, but I didn't, which belongs to the driver's side. I don't even have a clue what goes on the passenger side. It doesn't tell you. And then it's wanting you to cut stuff and do this and do that. I'm lost. I don't know what this means. LTR to CAC. This is a passenger CAC to tank hose. This says driver side heater hose. Okay, passenger side heater hose parts. Well, I got a lot of research to do. Yeah, don't know what any of that means. I found the O-ring, little bag of O-ring for here. Put the new O-ring on and the bracket. Okay, that's fine. That's all makes sense to me. I don't know. It's going to take me a while to work through this. Stuff here. Hopefully I figure it out. That's where I'm at tonight. I'm going to bed. Alright guys, a little report from tonight. We're working on actually installing the Whipple stuff now. So tonight I started by installing this small harness. I believe it goes to the intercooler pump. So here's part of here's the relay. And then I just kind of put this wire and just kind of hung it over here for now. I don't really know exactly where it's going, and I know I have to zip tie it somewhere at some point in time. But the instructions said to put this ground wire here, and then put the power wire here, and then it says to wrap this wire like that, and it plugs into this one. So I removed a fuse there and then plugged this one in, and then it's got a little fuse here. That's it. The instruction said something about removing a 10 amp fuse and putting it here, but this was already there. Has something to do with the ABS. I couldn't understand. That might be something to do with a regular GT Mustang. I don't know. So we got that part done, and I tucked the wires nicely through here. Got them tucked in through there and all underneath this backside. Kind of wrapped it up and around there. Kind of like a little cleaner. And then I zip tied the relay onto the harness. That's about all it tells you to do. I need to trim this off. And then now I'm working on the little radiator for the coolant that passes through the Whipple, and I'm installing I got the dual fan upgrade, so I had to put these little rubber mounts on here. There's 8 of those. I installed these mount brackets here. That's on. And now I am getting these fan bracket mounts and I'm installing these little rubber stick-on things that go on here like that, because eventually this will hang on here like that. One thing that I'm really not happy about is I have to remove, I believe, like all these plastics. All this is going, all these plastics. There's a little sensor here, not sure what we're gonna do with that. I'm sure it's in the instructions, but you also have to remove these bars. See these bars? They gotta go. All this has to go. All that goes. Because that's where this little radiator sits. So, yeah. Kind of like, I don't like taking that off, but well, what are you gonna do? Those bars gotta come out. These metal bars. So I'll have to work on taking this out maybe tomorrow. I think you're supposed to relocate the horn too. I'm slowly working on this kind of stuff right now. You're supposed to trim and do stuff with these hoses, but I'm gonna hold off on that till the Whipple's installed. Once the Whipple's installed, then I'm gonna try to fit these hoses nicely to where it kind of looks clean and I could reconnect it. But I'm gonna wait. How do you trim hoses when you don't even know where it's going and it's gonna lay? So I'm gonna just wait. Same with this one. But that's where I'm at. I'm gonna play with this a little bit more tonight, and then I'm gonna call it a night. Probably the next time I'm gonna work on removing all the plastics and then actually mounting this little radiator. That's where I'm at. Alright, there's the final product. Put these little brackets on. It just slips over that. It's ready to be installed. I gotta use these little spacers. It's one here, one on the other side, and then you just put a bolt through all that. See how that works once I get to that part. And here's a wiring harness for this. Alright, tonight I'm in the garage and I'm working on removing all this stuff here. So you need to get this off first. It's like an air temperature thing, I guess. I'm not really sure what that is. You got to take all these little push pins out. There's some here, there's some on this side, there's some here. There's these big main ones here. There's one on that side and one on this side. There's one here, and it looks like this thing will come right out. Still one stuck right here. There were some screws holding them down here, and there was two here. Okay, there's that. Because we're getting ready to install this. I want to touch back on, I got the dual fan set up, so there's a plug here and here, and I finally found this wiring diagram. So these two here would apply to me, and these two plug into the fans. Here's another ground, and then this one needs to go to that fuse box for power, and then there's an orange goes up and ties into this, which is right here. Here's the two for the fan. Here's a ground, so I'll find somewhere to put it. I don't know. Not sure. Here's the relay, and then the orange plugged into this, and it's right here. This little plug there, and then I just ran it back to here. And then you have to make sure, which I didn't know, and a guy on the page is helping, and then also the Gen5 Whipple Facebook page, but you need to put the stock fuse that went in here. You need to take it out of there and then put it into here. There's two fuse slots on this thing, so you just pull it out of there and stick it into there. They made it pretty plug and play for us. I don't know if I'm leaving these little rubber things. I guess not. Take those off too, huh? Okay. Now we need to take these bars off. So there's two screws up there, and then two nuts over here. And then I think you need to remove this harness here, like unplug it, or take it off the clips, I should say. And then we'll hopefully by tonight I'll have the little radiator installed. Okay, got the bars out. It's looking kind of empty and open. Now we're going to screw these right here onto the studs. Alright, I got the low temperature radiator installed. That's what they're calling this. This is just the radiator for the intercooler fluid. It circulates through the Whipple, and then I think it gets pumped through this little guy here and pushed through all that and back around. Pretty straightforward install. This sits up on top of here, and then I got the wiring down in there like that. I plugged these two fans in here. I put the ground there. Zip tied this here. I zip tied the relay right there, and then power is going that way to the fuse box. I really don't know what to do with this. This is the factory. I'm not sure what you call this, but it's sat in the plastic. I might drill a hole under here and just mount it right there. I don't know what to do with that. I took the factory horn off. I don't know which one is the horn relocation bracket. This is the instructions on it. It says install the supplied horn relocation bracket with the threaded hole. Don't know which one that is. With the threaded hole. I mean, this has two threaded holes, but... And then insert into open area body and line up the threaded 8mm hole to the factory hole. Install horn bracket to this location using the supplied 8x35 socket head cap screw flanged bolt, which is this one here. I don't know on that one. And I installed all that. I installed this. Although the threads on this are all boogered up, and I can't get the nut started on it. I don't know why. The nut's not wanting to go on that. So I'm gonna call it a night. It's midnight and I need to get to bed, but at least that's installed. I got this tank over here next that I'm gonna put on. Kind of not going in order of the instructions. I want to try to get all this little stuff done. Get the little tank put on, and then I'll get to the other stuff. But yeah, that's what it's looking like. Alright, tonight I'm installing this little intercooler tank. It sits in there like this. So you need to add these little rubber grommets, and then there's a metal spacer. And then you got 2 over here. And then here's the bolting for that. And then this one here goes by the headlight. There's a headlight bolt that goes there with the spacer. And over here I got into this mess of loosening up the, I think this is the engine oil cooler. So to get this out of the way, and then I had to loosen this bracket here. I just got the bolts in, I just got it loose so I could squeeze this tank up in there. That's where I'm at. I'm getting ready to install it. Alright, this is what this is looking like. You bolt it on here, and you got 2 bolts over here. And I put all this stuff back together. Kind of help get it out of the way, sneak it in there. And that's what it looks like on this side. I'm going to try to do some plumbing. Try to connect these hoses here from here to there, or here to here, whatever it is. Do something with this long wire that I have. It plugs into the back here. It's really long. Alright, so I did the plumbing here. Put this hose goes down to there, and then the one coming out of the pump goes around and into there. And then I did the horn relocation, which is some really goofy little bracket that you got to put up into the hole. I really didn't like it, but it works. And then I used the horn extension cable, and it plugs into there, and you had to loosen the nut and turn this horn a little bit so the plug isn't hitting this. But we got it. And then I neatly routed the intercooler pump wire, kind of looped it around here and zip tied it up there, and then I zip tied it nicely through here like this, here, and it goes through there. So I don't know what I'm gonna do next, but I guess I might dig out the supercharger finally. That's what that's looking like there. Maybe I'll set the lower part of the supercharger on now. I need to get my lift plate out of here. Need to get some of these hoses up out of the way. Some wiring I got just laying there. Get this stuff all out of the way, and I want to get that supercharger mounted up there. That way I could, you know, plumb to it and make it clean, and then plumb to it here. You know, I know I have to extend this to reach that, but I want to keep it clean so I could plumb to everything. That's my plan, or what I have in mind, actually, you know. And I still need to get this dang stretch belt on there, which is really hard to do. I tried to do it once, I failed. Maybe I'll try to do that. So, well, we're slowly getting there. Just process of elimination, all these bags of parts. I don't know where these brackets went. Who knows, but I'll leave them here on the table. I know I'm not using that. And then there's all these little push pins. No idea what they're for. Here's another one in the bag. Who knows? I'm left over with some bolts and washers to this thing. This is the low temperature radiator bolt bag. I mean, it's all mounted, so don't know what else I'd need for it. And then I have this other harness here, which I quite don't know where it goes. It's just an extension harness. I don't even know what it goes to, so just gonna hang on to him right there for now on the table. Okay, I'm looking to see if anyone can help me out with this. I'm on step 65, which has to do with the air charge temperature pigtail. And I've got the Palm Beach dyno tune is what I'm doing, and I got this little harness from Lethal Performance. On it it says Lethal MAF and IAT harness. Now this here and goes on that, which I believe this screws into the supercharger, and I really don't know where this goes, and I think this end here goes right over here. Let's see if I can find it again. It goes right here. So I think I just unplug that and then plug this harness in. But like I said, I don't know where the rest goes. And then there's also things like this, and I don't know what's up with these. Could be later in the instructions, I don't know yet, but any information would be helpful. Thank you. Alright, I'm going to wrap things up for tonight. I put the 170 thermostat in here, and I assembled all this here, and I put the new water neck on there with this new fitting with a little bit of pipe tape. I ended up installing the AC stretch belt. I got this out of the way, which helped. And then I tucked this back there and I looped it onto here, and then I slowly rolled the motor over and I got it on. What else did I do? I feel like I'm missing something, but I got to this harness here, which just screws into the Whipple, and then this end goes on it. And I'm struggling a little bit with where exactly these go. I think I found this, which goes on the cylinder head. This is the MAF, and I don't know where it plugs into. So I'm trying to figure that out right now. There's also wires, or plugs I should say, that are like this. I don't really know where they go. And then there's this one and that one over there. So I have to figure out what's up with those later, I guess. But I think this end here goes right there. My finger is right here. That's step 65 on here. So need to figure that out. I think I'm gonna go ahead and start bolting on the supercharger brackets right here. And then once I get that bolted on, so I kind of cleared everything out of my way, then I'll put the supercharger on. So I just wanted to get this stuff installed. So I think the supercharger is going to live like right here. I don't think you can get to this stuff, so I'll go ahead and put all that on. That's it for tonight. Hopefully I can come back out here tomorrow and get all this stuff bolted on, and then get the Whipple out, pour the oil in it, and kind of look at all the injectors, the fuel rails, and the crossover piping and all that stuff. That way I can get that bolted on. So it's coming along, actually. And then yeah, I don't think it should take me a whole bunch more to get all this stuff to where it's looking like a car again. I mean, I got all that work of putting all those, the cowl panel and the battery tray, the the fenders and the bumper. But I think I'm going to hold off on putting all that stuff till the car's started up and I check for leaks. And then I'll probably put the bumper, the belly pan, and the inner fender plastics. I'm going to wait because if there's a leak or something, I don't want to take the car back apart. But there's still a bunch of stuff left to do, but I feel like I'm getting somewhere. I'm on the downhill here. Alright, stay tuned. There's more to come.